Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is part 2 of What If Deku had an evolution quirk. As always, if you enjoy, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to check the links in the description. I always forget. Somebody in my comment section even said that my moderator is going to help me because he forgot to plug the Discord once again. And yes, I forgot to mention the Discord once again. Sorry about that, but check the links in the Discord or the description. Excuse me. We have a Discord. We have a Spotify that everything gets re-uploaded to the Spotify. So if you want to check that out as well, all that stuff. But I don't want to waste much more of your time because you guys are here to listen to the What If, and we're not talking about the What If right now. So let's get into it. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya has just finished his first actual hero training session, and that hero training session went pretty damn well. And let's be honest, it definitely showed the level that Izuku Midoriya is currently at, because it showed that he was at a completely different level than the one and only Katsuki Bakugo, who is legitimately the #1 student in UA high school, at least for first years. And Izuku showed that his quirk doesn't even affect him, or to a large degree doesn't even affect him, which is pretty damn wild. And the reason for this is we all know that he did get bullied by Bakugo from, here and there, so it stopped actually being effective on him to a large degree. Now, does it affect him a little bit? Does he feel the burning sensation and stuff like that? Yeah, to some extent, but it doesn't actually fully affect him, making him, for the most part, borderline immune to explosions. And Izuku, well, he shows and has showed that to a large degree, and showed how powerful he really is, and showed how powerful and how capable he really is. But all of that will change very quickly when you enter this next thing that they're going to be training in, and that is a rescue facility. They're going to be training at a rescue facility known as the USJ. But the USJ, it's a very, very, very good training facility. But here's the thing. When the invasion of villains, the League of Villains, begins, that's where things get thrown out of all sorts. They would all take a bus over to the USJ, all talking about their quirks and what they can do and what they're capable of and blah, blah, blah. And when they would arrive, meeting Pro Hero 13, they would then go in thinking this is going to be an amazing day. This is going to be a great training session, but that's not the case. The League of Villains would show up with portals opening up all around. Eventually, Izuku would realize that this is something that is not anything to do with an actual training session. And he could tell that it's all going to basically shit really quickly. He tries to talk to Aizawa, asking what he should do and blah, blah, blah. But he basically just tells him, like, look, you guys got to stay safe. Stay where you are. Stay where you're at. Don't get hurt. Don't be in a bad situation. And that right there is the reality of it. And Izuku knows this to be the case, knows that they need to make sure they're in a good situation and stay safe no matter what. And he tries to do that, but soon a portal would open up, sending him to a different part of this location, sending him right where a lake with a boat is currently at. He would get submerged in water, and he begins swimming around, going to the surface, looking for a way out. Seeing that there is actually basically things or people in the water, and it seems like they are like weird looking creatures to an extent, or something along those lines. And they begin to just absolutely attack. They begin to attack Izuku, trying to get a hold of him. But Izuku, he's pretty damn fast in the frickin' water. It might seem odd, but he is pretty damn quick. He's on the level of an Olympian. Yes, it's maybe not as fast as them, but he has enough control to where he can move around and get in and out of certain areas. So he's able to dodge, weave, and then basically get out of harm's way. And luckily enough, he's able to, for the most part, save himself from bodily harm. And it leads to, well, the one and only, basically Asui swooping him up and grabbing him and yanking him out of the area and putting him back on the ship. Luckily, this is when they kind of think about a plan to get out, and Izuku, with, you know, some help of Asui and stuff like that, they're able to actually find a way to jump from one end to another, but with, you know, Izuku trying to basically use his raw strength to give them a bit of a boost. And this works pretty well, and it works, you know, overall pretty good. And they get out just in time and avoid the these other creatures to a large extent. Now, this is where things hit the fan pretty hard, though, because Izuku is thinking they need to get to safety, but he also sees that Aizawa needs quite a bit of help. Fighting a ton of these villains by himself is no freaking joke, but once the other villains get involved, that's when things will go really bad, because Aizawa is going to have to deal with some extremely powerful people and some extremely powerful kind of villains, and he's going to have to deal with them by himself. And it's very, 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 very difficult to deal with. And Izuku, he thinks he needs to help. He needs to try to help. He needs to do something, but he can't. Not at the moment. He helps Asui and Mineta get away, going to safety for the most part. And he even kind of talks with some people, asking what they should do, what should happen, and what is even going on. And he hears that they actually sent Tenya Ida to race off to UA and to get help. This is good, and Izuku thinks this is really good, but who's going to help Aizawa? Especially as the Nomu steps in to fight. The Nomu comes and he goes to basically bash Aizawa's face in, and Izuku runs in, grabbing Aizawa, moving him out of the way, barely getting him out of the way before he could be extremely hurt. Izuku stands in front of the Nomu and he sees Kurogiri, and he also sees Shigaraki standing behind him, at least to like a far distance away, but standing behind the Nomu. Aizawa tells the kid to get out of here now. This is not a good idea, that he can't take the punches from this thing. And Izuku looks at Aizawa and asks, can he take the punches? And of course Aizawa would shake his head, and Izuku says that he's fast. They're both fast, but they can stall this thing out. He knows they can. They just have to make sure to keep their eyes on that guy over there, or those two guys over there, being Kurogiri and Shigaraki. He knows they have some sort of quirks that can really mess up this fight, so they need to stay absolutely 100% locked in at all times. They begin fighting, and Izuku's able to move out of the way and dodge the Nomu, and dodge him pretty successfully for a while. Him and Aizawa would begin kind of taking aggro and doing this and that, not getting into a brutal kind of like, you know, kind of altercations with the Nomu. They want to make sure that they don't get hurt very badly by the Nomu during this time while they're stalling for the one and only All Might. But eventually, Izuku would get hit, would get smacked by the Nomu, and he would block it, and he can feel his arms borderline cracking. He feels them massively hurting, and he can feel the pain spiking throughout his body. He hasn't felt this pain before, but he knows that all he has to do is withstand it, and he can evolve from it. He can adapt to it. He stands his ground, and he begins to try his best to get to the Nomu and land hits of his own. He punches the Nomu, hits the Nomu, kicks the Nomu, but guess what? Nothing. Not a single thing. But Izuku can feel that the Nomu has some sort of quirk that is kind of defying or kind of negating the damage that is trying to be dealt by Izuku himself. He punches over and over the Nomu, taking blows from the Nomu that he never knew that he would be able to actually take on and be okay with living. He didn't know that he would live through this, but as the more he's getting beat up, the more he's becoming durable. He continues to take blow after blow, and he tries his best to keep up, tries his best to take this Nomu down. All he can think about is that if he goes down, they all go down. And as he's absolutely getting beaten, and as he's trying to dodge his way out of things, he sees a portal open behind him and a hand come out of nowhere. It grabs him, and the Nomu goes for a punch as well, but luckily enough, Shigaraki can't use his quirk, with Aizawa canceling it. Izuku would sort of dodge out of the way, and the Nomu would punch the hand. actually breaking one of the hands of Shigaraki. Izuku would sigh in relief as the Nomu would then look up and punch Izuku in the face, sending him flying. Izuku would slam into the concrete wall and he would be basically out cold. Unable to move for the most part, he struggles. He tries to basically climb his way up the wall, kind of like off to the side, up the staircase, and Shigaraki, the Nomu, and Kurogiri are hot on his tail. Aizawa trying to help him massively throughout this as well, hoping that All Might would eventually arrive. An explosion would come out of nowhere and then followed up by a large iceberg, as well as the arrival of All Might would ensue. All Might would come out of nowhere, punching the Nomu straight in the face, and Aizawa still completely, unscathed for the most part, and Aizawa is keeping Shigaraki at bay. With a healthy Aizawa and All Might there, it seems that All Might's going to be able to take down the Nomu, and all of the kind of issues with Shigaraki would be solved with Aizawa there helping as well. Of course, though, this isn't just the end-all be-all. This is just the beginning. This attack, this invasion is something that they're going to have to worry about for a very long time. And Izuku, well, his eyes, his consciousness is petering more and more as he sees All Might and the Nomu clash over and over and over again. As he's fading and as he's going away, he sees a person that looks extremely angry with blonde hair grab him and tell him that this isn't over yet, and that he should have stayed awake, and that he should have stayed conscious. This makes him and both of them look weak. He flies off with Izuku, getting him to safety, and Bakugo saves Izuku from any more harm, as Izuku would pass out and later on wake up after the events of the USJ have already happened. And this would lead to Izuku going into a 2 to 3 day coma, eventually waking up, and a lot of people are concerned, especially with his quirk and the way it works and how it works. There's just no way that he should have been in a coma this long, but it's because his body was evolving this entire time. All the punches, all the accumulation of damage that he has taken, well, it's all adding up, and it's all becoming kind of more apparent that it's basically adding thicker skin and more durability to his body as we speak. And Izuku, well, he wakes up days later and he asks everybody what happened, what's going on, how did he get here, how long has he been out, and they all tell him, like, look, one thing at a time, don't worry about it, take a breath, everything's okay. They're gonna have to, run some tests, see if he's okay, his body, see if everything is working in tip-top shape. And they, at the end of telling them all this, they tell him that Bakugo actually got him out of harm's way after he stalled for All Might to arrive. In which Izuku would nod his head and say that it's good to hear that they, won. In which they, of course, say that is a interesting way of looking at it, that winning, losing, but surviving is what matters. And Izuku says that that's what he's good at, surviving. In which this would lead them to telling him that the UA Sports Festival is upon them very soon. Actually, it's only a day or two out. And they tell him that doctors say, of course, Recovery Girl, they say no, that he is a no-go for the UA Sports Festival. But Izuku says that he has to. He's not well known. He doesn't have a flashy quirk. He needs to be in this so that he can, get better, so that he can actually get a good person and get a good agency and get into a good internship. How is he supposed to do that if he's not going to show off his abilities? What is he supposed to do? Like, seriously. In which, of course, they tell him that they're going to figure it all out, that he's going to get into a good internship, and they're going to get all the help they possibly can. But this is not negotiable. It's non-negotiable. He cannot go into the UA Sports Festival. That is the reality. Izuku would shake his head and he would ask, what about those other villains? Shigaraki, whatever, the guy that looked weird, and the other guy that was like made of shadows and smoke or whatever it was. He asked, where are they? What happened to them? In which, of course, Aizawa would tell him that they're actually in custody. Well, both of them are. In which the Nomu, it seems like the Nomu isn't really what it normally is. In which they wonder, what is that thing? Well, Shigaraki and Kurogiri are both villains like that, but the Nomu, on the other hand, is like a puppet in a way, and they don't know what's going on, and they won't get a single thing out of Shigaraki or Kurogiri. I mean, Shigaraki will respond, but Kurogiri, on the other hand, stands there completely and utterly dormant, as if he's also a Nomu as well, or something like it. But he'll respond from time to time, depending on the circumstance, but other than that, he won't respond. Silent. Only waiting the orders of Shigaraki and being kind of the perfect person to stay silent and the perfect person to not give away any information. So they haven't gotten jack squat out of them, which, of course, Izuku shrugs his shoulders and says it doesn't matter as long as they're captured and as long as they can't get out anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, all of those villains should be behind bars, and that's what matters. In which Aizawa says that it's good to hear that the kid is in good spirits for the most part, and that they'll be talking very soon, especially after the UA Sports Festival, in which Izuku, unfortunately, watches from his, well, you know, his bed. Literally watches from an actual hospital bed, which absolutely sucks. But throughout the UA Sports Festival, there is actually a tribute for Izuku, and a tribute for kind of him being wounded and helping and saving a bunch of his classmates. A lot of people, it's a tribute in terms of, like, you know, for his injuries and stuff like that. And everybody is of high praise for Izuku Midoriya, and everybody seems to be in good spirits in that regard. But Izuku, he wants to be out there. He wants to fight. He wants to take them on. He wants to show what he's capable of. He wants to go one-on-one with the strongest people there. And as he watches Katsuki Bakugo win, it seems that Bakugo isn't satisfied as well. But he would have never thought that Bakugo would have done this. With the mic closing in on him and everybody asking, how does it feel to be the winner? He tells them all that it doesn't even count. That Izuku Midoriya beat him. He beat him a while back, and he continues to be a better fighter and a better what seems to be hero than him at the moment. He will soon eclipse Izuku Midoriya. He will eclipse Deku. But guess what? Right now, this win is hollow. This win means nothing. And Izuku Midoriya, well, he would have been the winner if they stood face to face today. At least that's a hard thing to swallow, but it's the reality. And he's pissed that he even says this, but he's pissed also that Izuku was unable to basically be here, because he wanted to prove that he could beat him. But he knows the reality that he wouldn't have been able to, not just yet. And this, well, makes everything go haywire. Everybody wonders, Izuku Midoriya, who is he really? What is happening? What's going to happen? And on top of that, what is he truly capable of? If he can beat somebody who is literally the winner of the UA Sports Festival, I mean, that's a big freaking deal. And well, a lot of agencies, and a good amount of them, begin to send him a ton of offers. Agency after agency sends him offer after offer. And it seems like a lot of them are prepared to take them on and see what they can actually do. And a lot of them are prepared to basically take them on and see what, what's possibly Izuku Midoriya is capable of. And that is where Izuku realizes that Bakugo really had his back in this. Bakugo not only pulled him away from the danger and flew him away, saving him, but he also had his back in terms of their futures as a hero. And Izuku is excited to see what's next in his own internships, and excited to see what's going to happen. Izuku prepares for his offers, looking at every single one of them, looking at a vast amount of them. But one of them really piques his interest. One of them that he believes will be beneficial to him massively. And that is with a absolute powerhouse of a hero by the name of Mirko. Mirko, the rabbit hero, is and will be able to help him in a lot of ways, especially with his ability to fight. And that is what he wants. His ability to be durable and his ability to actually fight consistently and punch as hard as possible. And when he begins training and goes over to Mirko's agency and begins to train with her, he soon would realize that the beating he took and the punches he threw, they all mattered, because he is far freaking stronger, like a large amount stronger. And Mirko's even shocked to see what he's capable of doing, even able to keep up with her to a certain degree, in which this leads to their training being massively fruitful, not just for Izuku, but also her. But it massively helps Izuku because his body gets stronger, his fighting ability even better. Every aspect, every single thing, it's better and better and better. And it seems to get increasingly better over 1, 2, 3, 4 days. But throughout this week, they don't really do any kind of, real hero work, you would say. Izuku would keep up on some studies and stuff like that in terms of hero association and hero kind of work in general. But in terms of what this this internship was, it was like training. That's what it was. That's what this kind of whole thing was about, and this whole thing was going to be, was just flat out getting him stronger, getting him more prepared, and getting him just flat out just a more utility to use in his own fights. And that's exactly what happens. Throughout this time, they have fruitful training, but the thing is, there's someone and something that happens, and Izuku would not be there to help. And that would be Tenya Ida being attacked by the hero killer. The hero killer would attack Tenya Ida, and, well, he would put him in critical condition. Izuku would be extremely, extremely sad about this and would be at a loss for words. He can't believe it. One of his own classmates was taken down. One of his own classmates was, brutally injured to the point of almost no return. He asked Mirko, where is the hero killer? What happened to him? Is he gone? Dead? Is he alive? Is he captured? Is he in prison? Mirko says that he got away. That unfortunately, he got away. In which immediately Izuku shakes his head and thinks that's horrible. He got away, and he basically got away with murder. Mirko tells him that soon he'll be able to get what he wants. In which he asks, what do you mean? And Mirko says that soon he'll be prepared for people like that. For people like the hero killer. For people like Stain. Stain may be out there still, but he'll be well prepared. He'll be well prepared to take down someone like him. Izuku asks if when he gets his provisional hero license, will he be able to come back here? In which, Mirko nods her head and says that he's always welcome. Always welcome. Especially because she never gets to have a really good training partner. Plus, who's going to be able to take down the hero killer if it's not going to be them? In which Mirko laughs a bit and sends him on his way, as Izuku is thinking that it may not be for revenge, but it will be for justice. Izuku walks away and heads back to UA High School, and they all prepare for what's going to be their final exams. Izuku way more ready than you could possibly imagine. But first, they have a written portion. This written portion would tell a ton of things. He would easily be able to pass it and pass it with flying colors. So much so that he actually helps a ton of his classmates as well get good grades on it. And he helps, with the studying and stuff like that. But the practical is where things are going to change. Izuku, would walk over to the gym with all of his classmates, and they would approach this kind of area, and they would realize that this practical will not be against robots like they all thought. It will be against teachers, and that is something else. Izuku hears that his partner is Bakugo, and he puts out his hand ready to shake Bakugo's hand, and Bakugo shakes his head and decides to shake the hand of Izuku, telling him that whoever it is, they're going to beat down. They are going to defeat him, but then quickly their smiles would become, let's just say, concerned faces, because their person is All Might, the one and only number one hero, All Might. And Izuku, he may be concerned, but he is up for the challenge, ready to take on the number one hero, ready to take him down. And quickly, what their idea is to have one person on complete and utter attack and as much power as possible behind his attacks, and the other will take the blow. Will take the blows, the hits, and all the punches, and that will be Izuku. Izuku decides that that's how it's going to be, at least for the beginning of it. And when their kind of time comes and they go charging at All Might, they quickly realize the power that All Might holds. Punching toward All Might, or basically these gusts of wind would be punching toward Izuku and Bakugo, and they would punch toward All Might. Izuku would take the first punch from All Might and counter it, punching him dead in the stomach. Boom. As he punches him in the stomach, he would kick him in the leg, and he would actually put All Might on the ground. Everyone's shocked. No way. Is he going, blow for blow with All Might himself? This would shock everybody, thinking that what kind of training did he go through to get to this point? All Might, in a way, would be smirking, thinking that this kid, he might be the answer. He might be the answer to it all. But quickly followed up, Bakugo would follow up with an explosion, and then another explosion, as Izuku would stay within the radius of the explosions because he's not affected by them at all. He would literally be punching All Might as explosions would engulf both would engulf both Izuku and All Might. They would be fighting, boom, going blow for blow, boom, 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 over and over again, and they would be going absolutely insane. And All Might could start feeling the punches that Izuku is actually handing out. And it seems that Izuku, he may be feeling the punches from All Might, and he may be getting hurt by it, but it doesn't mean that he's ready to stop. In which Bakugo continues to just be relentless as well, explosion after explosion after explosion, and eventually they would be able to actually take All Might down and put capture tape or capture cuffs on All Might, defeating him in an actual good old brawl, a straight up brawl. And everybody, they're at a loss for words. How the hell did that just happen? In which All Might would stand up and he would shake both their hands, saying that they've both come a long way, and the fact that they were able to work together the way they did today, they might end up being an unstoppable duo. They might end up being two of the best heroes to come out of UA ever. In which, hearing this, this is a different level of respect from someone that they look up to so much. This is a different feeling that they've never had before. This is awesome. All Might just acknowledge them to being potential top heroes when they're done with this and when they're done here, which is absolutely insane to think about. But with all that said, Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo are the winners, and they would now be allowed to go off to the forest training camp. The training camp that will allow Izuku to get even stronger, even faster, even more durable, and even better. But before all that is said and done, there's a conversation that needs to happen between Izuku and All Might, and he awaits, wondering what that conversation is. Izuku sits waiting in the principal's office as All Might would eventually arrive in his Small Might form. He would tell Izuku the story of One for All, tell Izuku what happened and why he looks like this and what happened to him, showing him the wound on his body. And then he would tell Izuku that his quirk, One for All, can be passed down from person to person, and it gets stronger every single person that receives it. Izuku asks him, why is he telling him this? Like, why? Well, why bring this up? And he tells Izuku that he wants him to be his successor. He knows the potential that Izuku has with his own quirk, his ability to evolve after every single fight, his ability to evolve after being hit, after being basically punched or kicked or whatever. His evolution continues. And imagine what he can do with the quirk of All Might, the quirk known as One for All. If he can potentially evolve with One for All, it could even get more powerful. It could get even stronger, continuously getting more and more powerful. Eventually to the point where villainy is impossible, because Izuku Midoriya will stop it all. Izuku sits there for a second, wondering, is this the right idea, the right call? Will he be the hero he still wants to be if he takes on the quirk of someone else? If he continues the power of someone else? He sits there for a second and he wonders, should he or should he not accept the offer of the one and only, the number one hero, All Might? Well, you're going to figure out and find out that decision on the next part of What If Deku Had an Evolution Quirk. As always, if you enjoy, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, that's all I got to say. Hope you guys enjoyed and hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.